Just be human.
Just saying.
All right, you ready, Ben?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have to clap my hands. Why don't you do this? Come on, Jerry.
You beg me every time.
For me, you know what? You made me go outside of my comfort zone this week, big time. So I'm just asking you to do me a favor and you start the episode.
Because of your meetings?
Yes. It's all right, but yeah, I was.
Now you haven't gone outside yet.
No, but it's going to be approaching very soon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. This is Travis from Thrive Fitness, and we're here with
my cue to shut up.
Episode 41 of Thrive TV question and answer session. Back again to put Jerry in the hot seat and let him spew his pearls of wisdom.
We matched today too, which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm happy
Didn't
about.
plan that.
No, we have different colored pants on though. You don't know if she has.
I might not have pants on. Yeah, if you know me, you know I have pants on. Anyway, so we're back today with a question and answer session. So Jerry, I want to open this up with,
Okay.
tell us, what's your favorite exercise and why?
My favorite exercise is
Your
what?
personal,
Yeah.
don't think about what it does for
Yeah.
people, what you personally
Yeah.
love to do.
Deadlift.
Deadlift. And
Yep.
why?
Because it is the ultimate exercise that, so it does a couple things. It's one of the best exercises to build overall strength, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have to utilize your whole body. You have to stabilize your upper body. You're developing your hamstrings and your glutes, which your glutes are.
Your fountain of youth.
Thank you. I'm glad you were on top of it today. We're not going to mention someone else's name who slacked the other day. But, it's fun to do. I don't have to say that it's fun to lift heavy things.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it correctly, and it's not something that you necessarily have to do all the time. But yeah, it's fun to lift heavy things. However, it's a good bang for your buck exercise. It's one of the best that you can use for strength. In my opinion, the best. Others would probably would talk about back squat. Back squat being the best, but I think there's a lot more. I think that one's a little harder to get down. Back squat is. It's a lot easier to mess up. Although, don't get me wrong, deadlift is easy to mess up. But again, it's just where you start. Like, if you start in the right spot and you move forward, then it's fine. Everything's going to be good. And it's going to be one of the best exercises you can do for everything. Core development, back development, again, glute and hamstring development, just for everything. So,
And you can save people from a fire.
You can. Looks like I think we still have a little bit of work to do for a couple people, but...
And do you always use,
Sorry.
for safety's sake, that hex bar,
Trap bar.
as
X-bar.
opposed to a barbell?
No, so I use a barbell. 90% of the time, probably. Oh, it really depends, I guess, on just timing. Like, when I go to trap bar, I'll stay there for 6 months or so. When I go to barbell, it's probably a little longer. I'll stay there for 9 months.
No difference in the benefit, though, other than a safety.
Well, so yeah, with trap bar, you can do a couple more things. So with barbell, it is harder, right? The weight is in front of you, okay? It is anteriorly, it is 100% in front of you, so you have to concentrate more, and your form has to be 100%. You have to own it a lot more, right? With the trap bar, it's not in front of you. With the weight's around you, so yes, your form still has to be really good. I don't want to say, but you can get away with it not being perfect, because then it sounds like you can get it, like, it's fine, don't worry about it, just put weight on. But it's much safer, yes. Risk to benefit ratio. Yes.
For people's backs?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the placement of the weight, right? However, also with the trap bar, you can lift heavier weight with a trap bar. So there's benefit to lifting heavier weight. You get more growth hormone secretion. Your body just releases hormones that help you grow and get stronger whenever you lift heavy things. So it allows you to pull heavier weight than with a barbell.
Okay.
So there is benefit to that. Other than just the safety factor, like you talked about. However, that is most of the reason why most of our clients, 99.9% of our clients, only do trap bar deadlift, because of the risk to benefit that goes with barbell. Now, with that being said, I have thought a lot more about getting people, some to try barbell, just to see, because I do think that it also has its own benefit that you can't get from a trap bar, such as I think there's more of a stability factor. Not well. We already kind of talked about that. There's more of a stability factor that goes with barbell. But again, it's just when it comes to me programming, I'm much more conservative than I am like go after it, right? And Sharon and I talk about this a lot. Like sometimes I'm so conservative that I hold people back. So maybe I'm holding people back from like doing barbell, and maybe they're going to be a lot better at barbell deadlifting than I think, and they might blow it out of the water. So, and I've been trying to think outside of that, my little comfort zone more often, but that's off topic.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's a good question. I think everyone has their favorites.
People do single leg
barbell.
Right.
Yes. But with a single leg, it's much harder to mess up. Okay? It's much harder with a barbell, with a two-legged barbell deadlift. It's much easier to just round your back and just let it go. Whenever you're doing a single leg deadlift, there's almost this component of you have to stay, or it's just not going to happen. Like you're just not going to get it off the floor if it's just not going to move at all. If you completely lose your form and don't have any stability through your core, it's just not going to happen. So I think that's the difference between the two. If that makes sense. Like, do you feel like when you use the barbell versus when you use one kettlebell or two dumbbells, do you feel like you are in more risk of hurting yourself with a barbell? Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think. No, I think that a heavy kettlebell single leg deadlift, I think you're more at risk
to hurt yourself.
Yeah, rather than with a barbell. Because you got two hands holding on to the weight, which pulls you, which keeps you more this
neutral.
way. Where with just one, it tends to want to, if it's heavy, you'll find yourself tilting,
compensating to one side.
Well, because the weight's pulling you that way.
That makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. When it comes to doing it one arm versus two arm, developing a one arm single leg deadlift is king in my mind, because it's one of the ultimate. If you talk about functional training, that's such a fancy word out there. A lot of people just like completely blow it out of proportion, but that's one of the ultimate functional exercises. So if you think about picking something up, when you go over to pick something up, if you watch a golfer pick a ball up out of a hole, right? How they pick it up? They stick one foot out in front, the other foot's behind them, they reach down with the opposite arm, and they pick it up. Right. So it looks essentially like a single leg deadlift.
It does.
Right? So, I mean, that's just the ultimate functional movement in my mind, or one of the ultimate functional movements. So that's why, that is why we do that a lot. But yes, I will say that two arms is more comfortable than.
Oh, definitely.
I hope you guys can hear Sharon's music, by the way. If you can hear that, that's Sharon out there rocking this music right now.
Yeah, that we're not allowed to do in my training session. But did you have to bring that up? We listened to John Lennon and Gordon Lightfoot.
Dope smoking music.
Gordon Lightfoot music. Who can lift heavy to that? Anyway, all right. Good opening question. Thank you for your explanation. All right, so here's the next one.
Okay.
How much cardio versus strength training do you feel is a good ratio? And do you do cardio before or after?
What's your goal?
That's a big question.
What's your goal?
Okay, so it's goal-based. So say, you want to lose weight.
If you want to lose weight?
I didn't realize it was goal-based, so...
Well, after I asked the question, I don't think that it is. Because I think either way, all you can just adapt your strength training to whether to be more cardio or to be more strength based. So either way, your strength training should be the majority, or should I say resistance training? Resistance training should be the majority of it, because if your goal is to lose weight, the more muscle that you have, the more fat you're going to burn at rest, and that's the important part. And I just had a conversation with one of our new clients about this. One of the things people have a hard time, especially women have a hard time accepting or understanding, is that women don't want to get big and bulky. It's hard for women to get big and bulky because of just the hormones. Like you just don't produce enough testosterone for that to happen. However, putting on muscle is not a bad thing, because the more muscle that you have at rest, the more calories you're going to burn at rest whenever you're not doing anything. So people always want to look at their Fitbit and see how many calories they burn during their workout. Well, you can go out and you can run 2 miles and you might burn 300, I have no clue, 300 calories running that 2 miles. Or you can run for 2 hours. Actually, 2 hours will probably get you 300 calories. 2 miles isn't going to get you there. 2 hours, if you run for 2 hours, go jog for 2 hours, you might burn 300, 400 calories. But after that 2 hour run is over, you're not, it's going to be minimal at best, right? So that is going to wane off very quickly after your workout. So you want to look at the metabolic effect after your workout, right? So yeah, you want to get bang for your buck. If you have 60 minutes to work out, what can you pack into that 60 minutes to get you the most bang for your buck if you're trying to lose weight? Also, what can you do that's going to get you the longest bang for your buck afterwards? So that's going to keep your metabolism going after your workout. And then also what's going to help you put muscle on so that you can, again, at rest, burn more calories.
What's that, EPOC effect or something?
Excess post-oxygen consumption. Yes. How can you take that to the maximum?
Right.
Metabolic resistance training, which is, we do a lot of that here. We have a 45-minute class that we do here, that it's 45 minutes, and yeah, you'll burn 300 calories during the class, probably pretty easily. And then, does that thing always blink like that?
I don't know.
I'm just making sure it's not going to die, which I think it might. Okay.
All right.
Anyway.
Where were you?
Where was I?
About the EPOC effect and... Yeah,
so you want to see how long you can take that out, okay? And with, again, like with the metabolic resistance training, I mean, that can last hours and hours, that your body is trying to recover and just burn calories. So, yeah, my answer is not going to be any different. It's just how intense you're going to make it.
Okay.
Right? So if you're strength training, you don't want to do extremely high intense stuff, because that's not going to be the best way for you to build strength, like hardcore strength, right? So you have to rest, you have to recover if you want to build as much strength as possible. If your goal is to burn fat, then you have to be more intense. But it's still going to be like, your resistance training can be your cardio, right? So cardio in my mind is not cardio what anyone else thinks. Other people think go walking and run.
Right, or walking on the treadmill, or riding on a bike, or doing the elliptical, or whatever. So your recommendation and what we do here is you build that into the little technical difficulty there, but we've recovered. So we put it at the back end, right? You build it into the programming, the cardio, and it's interval, essentially cardio, right?
Based.
Yes.
So you're talking about what we actually call cardio, right? So the stuff that we do at the end of our training session. Yeah, so that's what we've separated as cardio, okay? But even like, so yesterday, what'd you do as cardio?
We did kettlebell swings, 2 get-ups and downs, and then 6 goblet squats.
Right.
3 rounds.
Right. So you did resistance training as cardio. So even though we labeled it cardio, it was resistance training. Okay. So, but and then we can go to like our sleds and our bikes. So we'll go to those as like specific examples of cardio, of what you might think of as cardio. Those are interval based
Right.
cardios, right?
Well, right,
Now-
because there's no resting in between. You go through that sequence
Yeah.
very quickly,
Yeah.
and then you rest.
Recover, and then do it again, right? So get your heart rate up, and then rest, let it come down, and then get it back up, rest, let it come down, get it
Right.
back up, right? And that's what our MRT was last night. Our metabolic resistance training was do your swings, do your up downs, do your squats, and then rest. Recover, and then do it again. Rest, recover, do it again, right? So it's still interval based, but you're using a resistance. You're using resistance to do it.
Right.
Okay, so even though it's going to be, your pace is just going to be different. Is really all that it is. If you want to just lift weights faster, if you want to
Right.
if you want to burn more fat.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So a
Good question.
common complaint that decreases. This is what I feel, and what I by talking to people and heard. A common complaint that decreases a client's motivation to continue to do an exercise program is the soreness that they feel after they work out. So, what advice would you give to people to help them overcome that, and what can, if anything, can they do in their life to help with this post-workout soreness that people have?
Okay, so
Because they're like, I don't want to feel like that. I go in there and I work out, and then I'm sore for 2 days afterwards. I have trouble sitting and
right,
so forth.
right. This is it's an easy question. Don't get me wrong, but it's tough because it's if you're doing it on your own, it's easy to overdo. If you're going to a trainer and they're making you that sore, especially in the beginning, then you need a new trainer. You need to stop training with them. So I'll answer it in two different ways. If you're doing it on your own, you have to understand where you are, right? So you have to know where you are. You have to know where you're starting in order to know where to go. Now, where you are today and where you start today and how many squats or how many deadlifts or how many push-ups or whatever it is you do today is going to be different than what you do in 3 months. However, if you do 5 today and it makes you sore, you can do 15 in 3 months and it's not going to make you sore, right? So it's general adaptation. Your body, you start somewhere and your body adapts and adapts and adapts, and eventually the soreness, I don't want to say it stops, because when you do new exercises,
Right.
it'll come back and you get sore. You've been training for 8 years now, right? And you still get sore sometimes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But probably never to the point where you can't walk up and downstairs
Not
or anything
like it
that.
was in the beginning.
Right.
No.
So when you first start, if you're overdoing it, and overdoing it can be very easy for someone in the beginning who hasn't resistance trained,
Right.
and in 6 months even, it doesn't take a long time. We had a client who she wasn't able to come for 2 weeks, and she came and trained, and she probably did 70% of the weight that she was using before, a few less reps. Some of the exercises were a little different because you don't want to just jump them right back into where they were. And she was still but still really sore. She said she almost came in without pants on.
Oh my god! Now that's pretty sore.
She's going to be angry that I said that too.
Well, nobody knows who she is.
That's a
so
good point.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, but seriously, I mean, that's a common complaint for people,
Right.
and I think it turns people off.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. And so you have to know where you are. So if you're doing it on your own, you have to start probably with half the amount of volume that you think that you should start with. So if you want to go and you want to start resistance training, and say today you're going to go do some squats, and then you're going to do some push-ups, and then some dumbbell rows, and then some planks or something, right? If you think that you want to do 3 sets of 10 of each, so 3 sets of 10 squats, 3 sets of 10 push-ups, 3 sets of 10 rows, and then 3 sets of 30-second planks, cut it in half. Cut it in half and you'll still be sore. It should cut it in. If you're just getting started, cut it. If you think this is where you need to start, cut it in half, and then add each week. Add a rep until you get to. If you start with 3 sets of, we're going to call it 3 sets of 8 or 2 sets of 8. Okay. If you start with 2 sets of 8 of 3 exercises, Add 1 rep each week until you get to 12 reps. You're doing 2 sets of 12, okay? And then you can add another set, all right? That's just something basic and easy to throw out there. You'll get to a point where you can just start throwing things in and you kind of get comfortable with some soreness that you do have, because I think some soreness feels good, even for those people who don't like to be that kind of sore, because no one likes to be that kind of sore, trust me. Well, I mean, there are those that are a little, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But a little bit of soreness, I think, feels good, because you feel a little accomplished, so on and so forth. Anyway, so if you're going to a trainer, especially if you go in the beginning, and from day one, like the first day you walk out, you can't move, you should like automatically fire them, because that should never be the case. You should never go to a professional and they beat you up so bad that you can't move the next day, because you're not getting anything out of it. You're going to be worse off in those first 6 weeks to 8 weeks than if you went out and just started with walking and then moved to running and then moved to resistance training or something along those lines. So
just take it easy, kind of ease into it rather than.
Yes, but you can do it. You can do it 3 to 5 days a week if you want to. If you want to jump in and do it that many days a week, fine. But don't start with like, I'm going in, I'm going all out. As far as the volume goes, it's all about volume and how much you're doing when you're talking about the beginning. And
is there anything
breaking it?
So, is there anything that say you're going to a personal trainer that you can do at home after you work out that may help with the soreness? Do you feel like, like my first thought and what I do myself is, or what I did was I ate more protein because protein helps heal up your muscles. Do you drink more water? Do you, take a hot bath when you go home to relax your muscles? Is there any that kind of thing that you can do to help with that soreness?
Yeah. So
foam rolling.
More protein. Protein is definitely a good start, right? So after your workout, within an hour after your workout or so, having a good portion of protein, because proteins are the building blocks of life, and they will help rebuild your muscles, okay? And you will be less sore. And then the next one is going to be foam rolling. It's going to be my next answer, and that can be after your workout, and then again before you go to bed that night, and then again first thing in the morning. So, and that'll help push some of that soreness away. Get nutrients flowing through your muscles and so on, so that they can rebuild themselves a little faster.
Okay.
So those are
the
the
rollers
recommendations.
aren't that expensive.
No, you can get them for $20 or so at Dick's Sporting Goods or Dunham's. Or
You see them everywhere.
Yeah, Meijer even and Walmart have them, I think, now. So no, you can get them anywhere, and it's just a really good investment for something that you can use,
all the time.
All the time.
For different things also as well.
Definitely.
Okay, so along the complaint of soreness, the last question, straight up, for an injury, heat or ice?
Jeez, these are very general questions.
No, what do you think? What's the recommendation? Because people never, for example, my husband this week tweaked his back at work.
Yeah.
He's walking around very stiff, and I'm like, have you put any heat on that? And then I'm thinking, well, maybe it should be ice. I don't know.
Yeah. So with backs, it's tricky. A lot of times when it comes to someone tweaking their back, right? Most of the times it's not as serious as like a disc herniation or something along those lines. That's most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. If you're talking disc herniation, then you're talking probably ice is going to be your best. Probably ice is going to be your best option, because you're just wanting to numb the pain. Like you're trying to get the swelling down. You're just trying to numb the pain. However, most of the time, every other time when you tweak your back is just going into protective mode, which means it's just spasming. So, number one, it's not your back that's the problem. Okay, so trying to stretch your back out or something along those lines is not going to fix the issue, because it's not your back that's the problem. You have something else going on that is causing your back to tweak. However, your back tweaks because it's overworking, and when it overworks, it tweaks, and then spasms and goes into protection mode, which is why you stiffen up and you can't bend over and touch your toes, right? So when you have a spasm, a muscle spasm, you want heat because you want it to relax, right? When you put ice on something, it constricts. When you put heat on it, it relaxes.
Well, the nurse in me thinks about heat, like when you injure yourself, you want your body's response to pull all of the, your white blood cells, all of the inflammation
Sure.
things to that site so they can start working on that. And then ice would stop the flow.
Sure.
And back it away.
Yep.
So
Sharon, ice or heat?
Depends.
No, that. Do what?
Ice later.
Ice later. So that's a good point. When you tweak your back, you're not injuring something per se. And when I say that, so when you sprain an ankle, right? It's a acute. It's a micro, and it happens there, and it's boom, right? And it swells up. That's swelling in your body. The swelling is your body trying to heal it, right? That you don't want to fight. You just want to let that happen for a while, for a day, 24 hours. Don't do anything.
Sure.
Elevate it and compress it, but don't do anything else because that's your body's natural response. Whenever you hurt something to that extent, so when you have swelling or redness, like something like that, a muscle spasm is not that kind of injury. It's your body just spasming, reacting, and protecting itself. Okay, so there's not necessarily it's not swelling and trying to rush nutrients in. It's just trying to protect it so that your back doesn't have to do anymore.
Right.
Does that make sense? So, it's knowing whenever you hurt something and you see swelling, like when they went on the golf trip and Tom had his arm all banged up, right? That was acute. I mean, he hadn't played golf all year, and then he goes out and plays 20 rounds of golf or something goofy, right? You're going to have an elbow issue. It's just an elbow or a back or something along those lines. It's going to happen because you just haven't done it.
Right.
It hasn't had time to adapt. So there was swelling. It was red. It was pink and purple, all kinds of colors.
Right.
So that's something that you want to let it fester for a while, and then you want to start putting
2 to 4 days, I think, is kind of inflammation.
Yeah, and
time.
let your body do its thing for some time, right? And then you can put ice on it. Because you want that stuff to eventually start going away.
Well, you don't want that acute inflammation to become chronic.
Sure.
So.
And that's also why compression and elevation are important, right? So making sure that when I say elevation, whatever is injured above your heart. So if you roll your ankle, you have to sit back so that your foot is up here. Right. Not just sticking out in front of you, elevated from the floor.
Sure.
Because you want things to run away from the injury spot.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a good question because
it's a very common.
It's very common, and the answer is a lot different now than it used to be. And I'm not saying that my answer
change tomorrow.
Right. And I'm not saying that I have I'm probably even still wrong. I'm willing to admit that because I don't know. I know enough about it, and I know I've read enough that I can say that comfortably, but I can't say definitely this is gonna help. Either way, as long as you're not heating a nerve issue or something completely contradictory, it's either way, it's not gonna hurt. It just may not heal as fast. So. Whenever you having an acute injury, just let your body heal itself.
Let nature
initially.
take its course.
Yeah. When you put ice on something, you see that in sports all the time. I mean, that's
the
regular
first thing
practice.
they want to do.
They go and run and grab ice and try and get it. I mean, but there's a good chance that they're just making it take longer because they're doing that because you're fighting your body's natural response. Anyway, that's a good question.
No, good answer though. I mean, that's good.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Okay, well, that's all I have.
That's all you have?
Do you have anything for me?
Do I have anything for you?
Yeah.
If I were a 25-year-old girl trying to get a six-pack, what would I do? How would I eat?
6-packs start in the kitchen.
Yeah.
everybody has a six-pack. You just have a little layer of fat over it.
Yeah.
So there's no getting it. It's there.
Yeah.
You just need to tweak your diet and eat better. And
what if you're already eating good? The foods that you're eating are
I would
already
say look
fine.
at your carbohydrate intake
Mm-hmm.
and pay attention to how much carbs you're eating,
Mm-hmm.
how much sugar you have out of those carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a six-pack. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
God gave us one. It's just covered up.
Just
So you need to lean out, and the way you lean out is by looking at your carbs. You don't have to carb deplete, but you
does
may carb
timing or
cycle.
anything have to do with it?
Well, sure. Well, that's a given with me. I don't eat carbohydrates only on my training days and only at night. So you can do carb cycling. Sometimes that's a good way to do it. Which I basically do carb cycling because I only eat carbohydrates on my workout days. But
Yeah.
you might do two.
What is carb cycling?
That's where you do a high carb day and then you do no carbs for 2 days. So if you do like a 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Or you can even, if that's not working, stretch it out a little bit further and do 3 low carb days.
Yeah.
When I say low carbs, you get carbohydrates out of your vegetables.
Sure.
So you're getting some carbs
Right.
every single day.
Right.
But the kind of carbohydrates I'm talking about cycling are starchy carbohydrates, which are your potatoes and rice and oatmeal
Yeah.
and those kinds of things. So, carb cycling would be on the days that you're not, if you train every day or frequently, then try just doing carbohydrates after your workout at night, starchy carbs there. Fill up the rest of your day with lean protein, lots of fibrous vegetables, and healthy fats at your other meals. And then the days that you're not doing anything, when you're not resistance training, because some people tend to think, well, if I do cardio,
Right.
that's working out.
Right.
I'm talking resistance training. So cardio,
Depleting your glycogen.
right. And if you're eating a balanced diet, your glycogen stores are good for
A while.
a while.
Yeah.
So if you want a six-pack abs, you got to get
Brett,
that.
what's up?
¿Qué pasa?
Hey.
You got to get that fat off of them, and the only way you do that, I think, is to look at your carbohydrates.
Yeah. What role do you think that? And when I say supplements, I don't mean like fat burning supplements and stuff like that. I mean like protein powders and bars and like food supplements. What role do you think that those play in that process?
Of trying to lean out? Or
Yes,
okay.
really lean out. Now I don't say, like, when you're talking about losing 20 pounds, it's different, right? Because you can, I'll say, get away with more when you're talking about losing more weight, right?
Sure.
When you're talking about losing 5 pounds just because you have a little layer of something covering your belly, that's different.
I think you need to eliminate those. That's in my opinion, because you're not absorbing. They say that you will not absorb the same out of a protein supplement as you would out of whole food. So,
Because it's been processed to some
right,
degree.
and it's got sugars in it and whatnot. So I personally would eliminate those if I was wanting to lean down, and I would focus on the food, my whole foods, and because you have control what goes in them, you know what's in them, you know they have no added sugar, and
Yeah.
you have a better control over that.
Yeah.
There's not a protein bar out on the market. I think that's helpful.
Sure.
That's good if you're looking to, tweak your body composition.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that you need to be taking is fish oil, because that supports lean muscle mass and helps with body composition. So.
Have you ever read anything into, like, and I've kind of played with it myself, but I've never actually, well, I take that back. Back in the day, I read a lot about it, but I'm not going to pretend like I've read enough lately that I can stick to my guns. But like CLA and, what's the other one?
Well, as far as CLA goes, you can get that from your food.
Yeah.
If you're eating the right things. If you're eating grass-fed dairy and you're eating grass-fed beef and those kinds of things, you get conjugated linoleic acid from that. Do you need to take a supplement too? I think it depends on your food sources, essentially. I would much rather get it out of food, because I think you're going to absorb it and assimilate it better than something artificially or synthetically made.
Yeah, I've always been intrigued by those, just like those small things that, we always talk about, like, if it really works, it's illegal, right? If it has a correlation, then they can put it on the label that it helps you burn fat. But it's just very interesting how some of those small, like CLA, for instance, a lot of people take that to lose fat when they're trying to get shredded.
Yeah. Shredded, yeah. Right.
But it is interesting how for some people it works great, and for some people it's just like nothing. So
I took it. I'll be honest with you. I took it.
Yeah.
Did I think that it made a difference? Not really.
Yeah.
Not.
And I think
not
it's one of
honestly.
the. It's like glucose.
Because at the time, my diet I thought was healthy, and it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't
to the point, like.
No, it wasn't.
Pinpoint healthy.
Right.
Or pinpoint, like.
Right. I was eating, conventional beef, and I'm taking CLA, but I'm eating all this inflammatory or inflammation promoting foods that at the time I wasn't aware of because I hadn't studied it to know the difference.
Yeah.
I think that the other thing that I can say honestly is that as much weight as I lost and as skinny as I was, I still, and I by any means don't have a six-pack to this day, but I do have more definition. That was an area that, even though I had been weight training for 4 years at the time, that was an area that I never saw. It got to a point, but then it never got any better than that.
Yeah.
So, I was misinformed at the time that by my trainer, who was not you, is that I needed to lean down more. But I was 120, 122 pounds, looked very thin, and I still didn't have a six-pack.
Right. Well, do you think that he was right in that you do need to lean down, but you just didn't have enough muscle?
No. I didn't have muscle. I had muscle in my legs, but I didn't have muscle anywhere else.
And that's what I mean. So you say now that you have more definition. Do you think that you have more muscle now, and that's why you have more, but you're heavier now, right? So lean, how do you, I'm trying to like just argue semantics, like lean, what is the definition of lean? Like, I'm trying to define it as having less fat.
Yes.
Right? Not necessarily having less weight.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
So do you think
a
that
lean person, you can see definition of their muscles.
Right.
Right. In their body.
Are we saying the same thing?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that, and what I want, my point being was, I also, we did not do core training, to my knowledge, with what I was doing at the time. So, the fact that I weigh more now than I did then, I have more ab definition now than I did then I think it's muscle and core work. I think the core work helps with that.
Yeah. Which goes back to another, which I could talk for hours about this as well, but that goes back to another point of when you talk about core work, like everyone wants to do core work to get their six-pack, which it may happen, but it's not because you're losing belly fat. It's because you're building the muscle in your core musculature, and it's becoming just more defined.
Sure.
So really your core is just going to get thicker because, which isn't, don't get me wrong, not a bad thing. Do core work, please. Like planks and stuff like that. Do that kind of stuff.
Yes, definitely.
Do the stuff. However, spot training, this is another conversation that we had, and I write that down. I want to do an episode on that now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Or at least
spot
an article.
reduction?
Yeah.
You cannot spot train.
Yes, spot training is just something that it's just not there. It just, sadly enough, can't happen. I think a lot of bodybuilders have kind of like championed that, but it just, if you're trying to lose weight in your legs, you can't do more leg exercises and lose weight in your legs. Your body's going to lose it where it's going to lose it. But anyway, yes.
Whole other.
Yeah.
a whole nother topic. We'll have to do a Thrive TV on that.
Yeah.
You'll be talking. Because I think that's a question people have.
It is. And
how many times does somebody come in here and say, I want a 6-pack, or I want to lose weight in my legs, or like I said, Jerry, I want to lose weight in my calves.
Yeah. Too bad. Ain't nothing I can do about those things.
Nothing gonna happen there. But yeah, people think that they can do that.
Yeah.
And that, I was one of those people.
Yeah. One of our new clients the other day, yesterday, she said, you know, one of my friends, she's pear-shaped. I think she said, you know, big hips and big legs. Her upper body was real thin. Big hips, big legs. You know, what can she do to get rid of that? Should she do some squats? I'm like, yeah, she should do squats, but it's not going to help. I take that back. It'll help because you're going to burn more fat. If she's not doing resistance training now, yeah, it's going to help, but like this, it's not going to spot train. You're not going to eliminate that fat. So anyway.
Good topic.
Yes.
Good topic.
Touchy one too.
Oh, yeah. Think so? All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. If you have any questions that you want answered, please send them to, you can send them to me at Trivas@thriveforstrength.com, or...
You should know this now too.
I can't say this all.
Come
Don't
on.
make me do all your work.
I'm going to make you.
I'm not.
Come on.
Info at the Thrive Pack?
Oh my goodness, what was that?
I don't know. That's what you get for making me do it. I meshed
It's a
together.
Twitter. Yes, you did. It's a Twitter account. So Twitter begins with
T.
It does begin with T. Whenever you're talking about a username on Twitter, what does it begin with?
At
Yes.
Thrive.
No. At
Thrive. The Thrive Pack.
There we go.
Okay, so at the Thrive
We're
Pack.
still trying to catch her up a little bit on this.
He makes me do everything with no preparation. I'm just saying. Goodbye. Have a good weekend. Oh, have a great holiday weekend. Twitter